Hello and welcome to all of our Gold viewers who are here with us today. I'm Kristen Schwartz, a licensed midwife and MC here at Gold. And here at Gold, we are very busy for preparing for the International Day of the Midwife in May 5th or on May 5th. And with me here is the speaker we have invited, the wonderful Anna Maria Rossetti. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you so much for having me.
You will be celebrating this special day with us here at Gold, and you have prepared a presentation titled Myometrial Lactic Acidosis and Labor Dystocia Preventing and Reversing Uterine Exhaustion. Fantastic topic. Before we jump into that, just tell us briefly where in the world you are and just briefly about your background.
Okay, thank you for having me again at the Gold Midwifery. I'm thrilled to celebrate the May the 5th with you guys. And I'm based in Italy. I'm a traveling midwife though, but I mainly travel in Europe. I am well, this year is 22 years of practice for me as a midwife. Yes,
Wow.
they flew by. They flew.
Yes.
And yes, so I've been a hospital midwife, a home birth midwife, and I'm also a researcher. I'm
Hmm.
part of the European project IPOV, investigating on obstetric violence, and I am the director of a postgraduate school set in Florence. And I'm also a Spinning Babies approved trainer, and I put together some of my main topics, the things I love in my life, which are labor dystocia and midwifery education and continuous studying and research. I am, yes, mainly a nerd. So this is.
Millionaire, how cute. Yeah, but you're wearing so many hats and you've seen it all in the hospital, in the at home and home births, in education. So, and you are a researcher, of course, bringing that all together in your presentation here at Code. Absolutely fantastic. So, you're talking about myometrial lactic acidosis. And first of all, what is that?
Well, it's a quite overlooked topic among midwifery care and obstetric care in general. It is something related with dystocic labor or how labor dystocia can show up in different persons accordingly with their resources and the metabolism of the uterus. So it is a topic that I am very intrigued in because I saw uteruses contracting to help the baby out and not being able to do such, and
Hmm.
then treating the lactic acidosis, seeing the uterus relaxing, and by relaxing, letting the baby out. So this shifts our paradigm, that always when we have a stalled labor, prolonged labor, we have to put force and increase force and contractions, uterine contractions, to have this baby out, when instead the uterus might be in need of something very, very different. And together with
Hmm.
the uterus, the person owning that uterus. So that's why.
Absolutely. How fascinating. I can't wait for this presentation. And you're talking about this. You're talking, of course, about uterine exhaustion and uterine fatigue. What do you think are, or what do you see as early warning signs that the uterus is becoming fatigued or exhausted?
Well, for sure, an exhausted uterus belongs to an exhausted person. Whether it is
Mm,
a physical exhaustion or an emotional exhaustion, it happens. Like, we have to look at the person. And the main thing with diagnosing a labor dystocia is that we don't have in literature like a clear diagnosis. And
mhm.
this is what makes it difficult because we are always looking for that clinical sign telling us, yes, this is it, we have to do this and that. And
Correct.
this
Mhm.
is not happening with human processes so complex like labor. So what happens is that you have to look at the person and then suddenly you connect some dots. So
Mhm.
you have unusual pain in the uterus, you have unusual pain, or like, the the pause between the contractions being like a niggling sensation or a clear pain in the uterus, even though there's no active uterine contractions. Maybe you have a different shape of the uterus. Maybe you have a different palpatory experience of the uterus when you are trying to palpate the uterus and trying to understand what is the uterus doing. So what I will be offering in this presentation is the view of what the uterus does in labor. And so we have the uterus not just contracting to give birth. The
Right.
uterus is changing shape, changing direction of its forces. The uterus is changing the orientation of the fundus. The uterus is changing, is shifting from a metabolic pattern to another. And all these things are changing again during a dystocia. So it's not just the lack of contraction or the ineffective contractions. It's like the uterus changing shape, motion, movement, direction, and so on. So we connect these dots and then we figure it out.
Love it. Yes, the connecting the dots there. There's so much change going on with the uterus. And as you said, it's not just the contractions. There is so much more to it and so much more to consider. Yeah, most midwives are, practicing the midwifery way or the midwifery care model. We're familiar with that big birth intervention, such as Pitocin or other things can have quite some damaging effects, they can have. And most of us know that, so we're kind of practicing in a gentle way. But what about interventions that are well meant? Like if there's something like a stalled labor and we feel like, oh, we need to get labor going again. What's going on here? Let's change position. Let's go up and down the stairs. Is that also something we should maybe reconsider if it comes to with regards to the uterus?
Well, for sure, I think that the main thing of my presentation is giving credit to midwives who really do the job of trying to figure it out, connecting the dots of the person rather than just looking at the symptom and trying to correct the symptom in a medical way, like putting more, fuel in the engine. And
Hmm.
I think the first thing we should consider is that it's a it's an emblematic topic. The way that the system, the academic, the professionals treat the uterus with the stalled labor. Rather, we choose to go with the force, with the harshness, forcing the uterus, or we choose to try to understand what the uterus is telling us.
Hmm.
And still, there will be some occasions when a synthetic oxytocin can be useful for a
Hmm.
labor and a person. But the main thing is, we cannot, there is no a one shoe fit it all,
Right.
fit everybody.
Yes.
And the problem when we use the same intervention with everybody is that we create outcomes that are generated by using the paradigm of force. So what we do, we put together informations to make sure that if we have to reach to the point when we have or will offer synthetic oxytocin to that person, it will be in a safe space for the uterus to accept
Hmm.
it. And otherwise, we risk that we are putting oxytocin in a uterus that it's having, a different direction of the contraction, and we are reinforcing the dystocia rather than solving it. And aside from, being a good environment for people giving birth, and this is what we do as midwives, we are a
Hmm.
good
That's right.
enough environment for people to feel safe to give birth. And we use the positions and breathing. But here and there are some strategies to make sure that the uterus is listened to and adjusted. And I will present some of the strategies that literature show us to be potentially effective. So yes, and in midwifery, also midwives and laboring people intuition is very good sometimes to solve labor dystocia.
That's
So
that's
yes.
good. I can't wait for your presentation. Sounds absolutely fabulous. Getting more insight in also the uterus there and how all the pieces fit together for labor as well, and what we as midwives can do better, and how we can support our families in a way. It has been such a pleasure having you here, Anna, today, and we're looking forward here at Gold, celebrating the International Day of the Midwife with you. Thank you so much for being here today,
Thank you
and
so much for having me.
it's wonderful to have you here. Now, some information for our viewers. This presentation here is, of course, our presentation that we celebrate the International Day of the Midwife with on May 5th. This presentation is open access, available for free to everyone, and you even get a free CEU with that as well. And please visit goldlearning.com for more information. You'll find the link there to sign up for your free seat. Make sure you share that with anyone that you know who's working in the birth field, and any birth workers, doulas, IBCLCs, other midwives, of course, students, so they can have access to this wonderful information as well. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you very soon at the International Day of the Midwife. Bye bye, everyone.